Hi, how are you doing? We've got a really packed show. I'm going to be taking you through how to do a customer journey mapping activity so that you can innovate and grow your business through better service provision, more creativity, and of course, a customer focused approach. And you can do this either as a workshop in a group, or you can do this just with a couple of you, or just on your own. Actually, I'm working through these activities myself at the moment. I've created some customer journey maps and experiences to go through, to take people through from a lead magnet through to some sales items that I'm working on. So it's really useful. You can do this on your own, or you can do it in a group, and it's really packed. I'm going to share all sorts of resources on how to do customer journey mapping. So we've got a great show ahead. Thank you very much for joining. It's good to be here with you. As always, please let me have your comments and questions and ideas and things that you're doing in the chat. I love to see those. So just enter them into the comments. They'll pop up on my screen, and I'll be able to take those comments and questions as we go. Okay, so we will get started in just 1 second after this.
This is the Idea Time Show with Dr. Jo North, helping facilitators expand their creativity, confidence and impact through the power of innovation in action. Gain confidence as a facilitator, confidence with the technology, and confidence with your content and event design. Tune in every week for practical tips, strategies and interviews that will accelerate your personal and business success. And now, here's your host, Dr. Jo North.
So welcome to this show, which is all about how to facilitate a customer journey mapping workshop. So if you're not sure what one of those is, don't worry, I'll explain all. But it's essentially where you just have a think about what your customer experiences when they're working with you and your business at every step of the way, and how does that compare with how you want them to be feeling? Are there opportunities to innovate and do things differently? I'm sure there are. So the customer journey mapping process helps drive out all of those ideas so that you can get a much better experience for customers, you can innovate, and you can grow your business. So that's what we'll be focusing on in this. Questions in the comments below. I'm live streaming at the moment. You might also be listening to me on the podcast, but I'm live streaming on YouTube, Facebook and LinkedIn. So hello to you wherever you're watching from. And also, if you're watching on replay, it's good to have you here as well. And I always reply to all the comments and questions if you're watching on replay as well in the future. Right, so let's get going. In this show, what I'll be covering is, first of all, what is customer journey mapping? What do we mean by that? And what is a customer journey mapping workshop? Remember that you can do this with a huge group of people through to just sitting down and actually having a workshop with yourself, just doing it one-on-one. I'll be giving you some examples of some real customer journey maps to inspire you. And I'll also be helping you think about what to prepare for your customer journey mapping session. We'll be thinking about the importance of customer emotions along that journey and why they're so important. And I'll also be sharing some ideas and thoughts around how you can actually co-create this with customers and work alongside customers in your workshop, or at least parts of it, and how you might test this with customers as well. I'll give you a customer journey mapping workshop agenda with some activities as always, and also some things to do after the workshop in terms of taking it forward, testing it, validating it and moving it on. I'll be sharing some examples of some customer journey software mapping tools. There's all sorts of good stuff out there, and some useful references and resources as we go. So it's a packed agenda. Do keep in touch as we're going through. Let me know what you're thinking, and do you do any of this, and are you thinking about doing it, and so on. So love to hear from you. We'll get started with the content. And just to say, I'm just giving you, a really good overview today, but there is so much more detail. And if you're watching this on video, you'll be able to get the QR code from the screen now to get a very extensive article which goes into detail about everything I'm about to say. So I'll give you the headlines and the key things in this show. But if you want to dive deeper, if you want to read it, if you want to, to get some images of the things I'm sharing with you, then the QR code is on the screen now. I'll show it later. And that will take you straight through to a free, really detailed article. Let me know what you think of that. So let's start off by just thinking, what is customer journey mapping? And essentially, it's a really powerful tool that you can use to understand what it's like to be a customer, buying from, experiencing, interfacing with, working with your business. And you think about that experience at every single touch point. So, all the physical touch points, it might be a shop, a virtual touch point like a website, it could be signage, it could be how people pay, all sorts, all those different aspects. And you also think about the people touch point and what that experience is like from a service point of view. So you're thinking about the physical and service, people, and virtual touch points, every single touch point that your customer has along the way, what it's like to be in the customer's shoes, so that you can find out where you can do better, where you're doing really well, but where you can do better and move that forward. You can also use this process if you're starting something new, if you're starting something fresh. So as I said at the beginning of the episode, I've got some products that I'm about to launch, and I've used this process to think about the step-by-step process that I want my customers to go through that will be a really good experience for them as they're moving forward. So it's about getting some insights, getting some ideas, and being able to innovate your service value proposition so that you can keep customers, attract customers, and just know that you're doing a really great job. I'm sure you are already, but it's about leveling up that job. And I think, I'm going to show you some more examples, but a customer journey map essentially has all the different stages of the customer journey, usually in a row along the top. And you think about at each of those steps, what is the customer going through? You map out the customer process step by step. You think about what's going on in the business to deliver each of those steps. So that's the next row down. You think about each of those, what are you delivering? What are you doing? And then another row to think about, well, what's the experience like for customers? And then build in the emotions alongside that. So you've got each stage along the top, what the customer is doing for each of those stages, map that out, map out what's going on in the business to achieve that for the customer, and then really think about what is that like to be the customer in the customer's shoes at each of those stages. And you create a visual, and I'll show you some different ways of putting those visuals together as well. So just some examples to give you an idea. I'm going to start off with a very simple map, which is one from Transport for London on the journey through to a London Underground station, the Tube. And the journey is finding the service with external signage, planning and paying using ticket hall signage, the journey itself, how you find the platforms and get on, off the platforms using signage, and then ending the journey and moving on and finding where you need to go when you leave the tube. There's a great document which talks about the customer journey on the London Underground and the role of signage, and I'll share a link to that in the show notes as well, so you can see that. There's also a link to that on the screen at the moment. So just a very simple one. I think another really famous, I'm sure most of us, let me know in the comments if you've experienced this, but a very well-known example of customer journey is IKEA, or IKEA, depending on how you prefer to say it. And IKEA do a really good job, don't they? Once they get you in the store, it's really well signed. You walk through all these sets which are laid out in terms of different room inspirations, and you follow the map around the store all the way through to checkout, and then you go and actually help yourselves to what you've bought from the warehouse as well, using codes. So you even sort of go into the warehouse and grab your own stuff, and they've thought about that very deliberately every step of the way in terms of what they want customers to see and how they want them to behave. IKEA have done that also on their with their online journey. So you can do that for online. And this really goes to show that you can be any sort of business. You can be a business to business organisation. You could be a charity, a not-for-profit, a public sector organisation. You could be a digital business, a bricks and mortar business. It really doesn't matter. This activity of customer journey mapping is really important. Because we've all got customers. Our organisations wouldn't exist if we didn't have them. So therefore, we can do it for them. And just to give you an example of a financial services and banking digital customer journey map, there is this one is from Westpac, who do banking in Australia. And they did customer journey mapping to think about how to start a business account, what happens in the first 30 days. They've done other journey maps as well. And this one is from sophiegreenfield.com if you want to go and have a look at that case study. But just to give you some examples of how this is being used, it's being used for real, to drive real commercial results. And you can do it too with your team and your businesses. But before you do that, it's important to prepare and think about what you need in order to get started to do a really good job. Because you could just start to sketch things out, but you'll be so much more efficient if you do a bit of thinking about it. And it's really essential if you're going to be facilitating a workshop with other people in it as well. So the first thing to do is to define the purpose and the scope of your customer journey mapping activity. So, you can't do the whole business, particularly if you've got different types of customer, different products, different services, and so on. You can't do the whole thing. That would be overwhelming. So you need to pick somewhere to start. Maybe pick one or a small number of customer, of types of customer groups, segments, and maybe just start with a certain bit of the journey. You could map everything out at a high level, but then you will need to pick a place to start, because if you try and do everything in huge detail, you're going to end up with the biggest customer journey map ever that you won't be able to do anything with. So you might want to pick something like paying for something, making a complaint, a query, the product purchase process, something like that. And then what you'll need to do is gather data that will inform your customer journey mapping activity. More on that in a second. So you're going to think about where are the priority customers that you want to start with, and which bits of the process, which bits of the customer's journey do you want to start with, and then go and get some data that will inform you. So the types of data you can get are things like demographic data, age, where people live, the sorts of things they do for a living, whether or not they live with other people, those sorts of things, the very traditional things. And you can get a lot of that from, if it's a digital thing that you are mapping, you can get a lot of that, of course, from things like Google Analytics, social media statistics, and so on. Behavioural data is really important. So don't just rely on the traditional demographic stuff, because I'm 53 and my attitudes and behaviours might be very different from another 53-year-old woman in the UK, right? So think about other dimensions too. Behavioural is what people are doing. Attitudinal, of course, is how they think, their philosophy, their view of life, their approach to things. Also have a look at what competitor data you can get your hands on as well, and see how well competitors are doing this for that group of customers, and how well they are performing each of these different stages. Now, where can you get this stuff from? You can actually find a lot of it out through social media, through understanding your customers, by asking them questionnaires, surveys, talking to them, observing them. For competitors, you can do mystery shopping and go and experience that for yourself as a customer would. And you can do that for your own business, actually. I do recommend that you mystery shop as a customer and do it yourself, including if and especially if you're the boss. Put yourself in the customer's shoes, go incognito, and just step by step walk through that journey. You can use your analytics, customer feedback, all those things. And what you're trying to do is get as much data as you can so that you can see where there might be some pain points, where there might be some opportunities for improvement, and also understand customer sentiment. And channels like Twitter, for instance, are really good. If your business is on Twitter and you can follow social media comments about your business there, then you can pick up some really good sentiment in terms of how people are feeling, and that really matters. Emotions really matter in the customer journey experience, and you'll have heard me say this in other shows over and over, that we make our decisions, we take our actions, we behave based on emotion, and we rationalize that, we justify that after the event with logical explanation. Because we make every decision, we take every action because we want to feel a certain way, right? That's what I mean by emotion. So we need to know how this feels, because if we're cheesing people off, if we are, being unhelpful, if we're getting in the customer's way, then that's going to drive frustration, and we don't want our customers to be feeling frustration. That's an emotion we want to avoid, for instance. Okay, now, what if you have no data? What do you do then? Well, see what you can find out. Maybe just spend a little bit of time talking to some customers who you trust, or doing some field work, and just get it. You don't need to have loads and loads of perfect data. You just need to have enough to give you a good enough insight, because sometimes the assumptions that we make about our businesses and how they're performing is for customers is different from how the customer receives it, right? So, those people who are complacent and think they know exactly how customers are feeling without asking them aren't always right. They're usually not right. So if haven't got any data, don't worry about it, but see what you can do to take an agile approach to going and finding out what you can. And remember, as you're gathering data, think about, how you can find out how customers are feeling, not just what customers are doing and what physical, virtual, and other things might be getting in the way, but how that's affecting them. A really good thing that you can do is to think about how you can co-create your journey map with customers. So you might not want to involve them in the whole thing, but certainly get them to explain how it feels at each of the stages. So you can ask some trusted customers to do that. And you can do all sorts of things, use social to do polls and questionnaires, lots of different ways. But please do think about how you can engage with customers as part of this process to make it really real and meaningful, so that you come out with some really good stuff as a result. Okay, so now we're into the customer journey mapping workshop. And in this workshop, what you're going to do is think about who is your customer and what are they trying to do. And for those priority customers that you've identified, then you're going to map out what it's like for them to interface with your business at the moment. You'll do some work to identify the pain points and the opportunities to innovate and improve your customer journey experience. And then after that, create a new customer journey map, which you'll go out and test, and then start to put into action and implement some of the wins that you've got from the customer journey mapping process. And now that's if you've got an existing product or service that you want to work on. And as I said earlier, you can just start off with mapping out the ideal process if you're doing something brand new that you haven't done before in your business. Maybe you start off with mapping out a few competitors' customer journeys, for instance, how they do it, and then see how you can innovate even better. As always with your workshop, start off with a good welcome and introduction. Make sure that people are really aware why they are with you and what you're there to do and what the objective is and what's going to happen as a result of all the work they're going to put into the workshop, so they can see that it's going to be used actively in the business. And then of course you'll need a quick warm up and icebreaker, even when people know each other. Get everybody's heads into the topic and into the room, not left with what they were still doing just before they walked in. And lots of ideas for icebreakers on bigbangpartnership.co.uk. Go to the blog section and just type in icebreaker in the search tool, and you'll see a few articles with quite a few hundred suggestions for different icebreakers on there. Then the next thing you'll do is get into the first activity, which is persona creation. Now, what does that mean? Well, a customer persona is essentially a representative avatar, if you like. It's also called avatar. Often fictitious, but it's a representative customer. So you might give the customer a name and you build a whole view in terms of what's important to that customer type. Now, I don't like, if I'm being really honest, I hate making up, oh, we've got a customer called Doris and she's this old and she does this and she goes here. I don't like doing that when it's completely fictitious, even when it's based on data. I prefer to think of some real customers in that segment that I know or that I've spoken to, and think about them in combination, find out what the characteristics are and the interests and what they're trying to do, what's shared amongst them, and I try and base it on real customers, and combine those into the customer persona, and that works so much better for me than making things up. It just feels more credible as well. But you're thinking about their preferences, their daily routines, their pain points, more about that to follow, but what is it they're trying to do? How they speak, their language, are they very formal or are they very corporate, or are they more chatty, informal, text speak, whatever? Who are they influenced by? What influences, what factors play into their purchase decisions? What are they reading? What are they watching? And what are their aspirations? And many, many more. So these are the sorts of things you're thinking about. And why are you thinking about these things? It's so that you can understand them better. And by understanding them better, you can make sure you tailor your products and services and the journey experience so that you really get it right for customers. Practically all, nothing's perfect, but hopefully all the time, but as often as you possibly can. And then you get all those characteristics just mapped out and captured in, I like a plan on a page, a persona on a page, yeah? So this example has a picture, some demographics, but then some of the interesting areas around goals and challenges and things that worry them, hobbies, interests, those sorts of things, whatever categories from the list that I've shared that are useful for you. Okay, so we've done the welcome and introduction, we've set the scene, we've got everybody getting focused on the task in hand with a really good relevant icebreaker or warm-up. And then we've started to think, okay, so who is the customer that we're aiming to target based on some real customers or based on some data, preferably the two. And you're going to create a persona creation map like the one that you see here. Of course, go to the article I mentioned earlier if you want to have a look at these templates. The templates I'm using for these things I have got from slideteam.net, www.slideteam.net, and I pay a subscription for that, and essentially they're amazing PowerPoint templates that you can use and edit, you can brand, you can change everything, colours, everything, and I don't get paid for any of these things, by the way. I have no commercial interest in them whatsoever. These are things that just help me and that I use every day. Well, not every day, but pretty frequently. Okay, so you've decided on your customer persona. The next thing is to create a customer journey map. And this is the one I showed you earlier, where it's got the steps along the top, the customer, what the customer does at every step, what the internal process is to provide that for the customer at every step, and then what the experience is for the customer at each step as well. And really importantly, it captures for each of those, so we can see what the customer experiences, we can see how they might be feeling, we can see what we're doing as a business at that stage, what improvement, what key learning do we get from that, from what we've just mapped out. Now that is a linear type of map, where it starts at one end and you work through and you get to the end of the process. In this case, it's navigating the website, finding a frequently asked question, asking a question, getting some follow-up from customer service, and then the inquiry being resolved. So you can see the step-by-step elements there. It could be non-linear, and where it's not just straight across from one step to the other, where maybe a process like this one for a digital bank where the customer has to go around a few loops. So it doesn't always have to be a straight line with arrows. There can be lots of different decision loops and things happening in parallel elsewhere as well. So don't be constrained by just going across. The third example I've got for you in terms of how you might want to visualize this is a linear format, again, like the first one, but this has got more emotions built in. So it's still got all the things like awareness, discovery, ordering, waiting, receiving, consuming, and sharing, all the different steps that the customer goes through and what the customer is doing. You've also got the emotions expanded here in terms of what is the customer thinking, what are they feeling, and what is the experience like from the perspective of convenience, enjoyability, and enrichment. So if you want to see these bigger, I don't know what screen you're watching on at the moment. You might be watching on your phone, you might want to see a bigger version, then use the QR code that I shared at the beginning. I'm going to share it again in a little moment, and you can see big examples of these in the article itself. You might be watching on a really huge telly, and in which case you'll be able to see it really well, won't you? So yeah, a couple of examples there of the emotional experience. This is a service blueprint coming up next, and that's an emotional journey as well. So what a service blueprint means is that you separate out, so you've got each individual stage that the customer goes through. You've got what is happening in terms of every touch point, whether it's a person touch point, somebody in the business, one of your employees, it could be a virtual touch point, or it could be a physical touch point that the customer experiences. And a service blueprint splits those out deliberately. And actually, you can get into a lot of detail in terms of the physical touch points and things, and also the virtual ones. I mean, for instance, in a restaurant, your touch points could be the restaurant itself, right? But how comfortable is the chair? Are the loos clean? How warm does it feel in here? What's the temperature like? So all those little details actually really matter to combine into a bigger experience. And virtually, it's not just what your website looks like, it's how easy is it to navigate? How long does it take to load? Is it mobile? Is it really fast on a mobile phone, or do the pictures take forever? Are there good videos that show people how to do things? All of those things. And then think about what's the customer thinking, how are they feeling at each stage, and what are they expecting, and how are you matching up. So you can do customer journey mapping in a number of different ways. Try one, pick the one that feels like it might best suit you and your business and your product or service that you're doing this for, and the customer that you're doing it for. Try it, and you might want to add a bit of this and a bit of that from the others that I've suggested, and create something that really works for you. Okay, I hope this is useful. Do let me know if it's useful. I realise I'm sharing quite a lot here, so if I'm going too fast, or you want me to slow down or go over something again, then please do let me know, and I'll do that. And the final example of a type of customer journey map is a multi-channel one, and this is really used in marketing when you're thinking about people might find you and come to you through many different channels. It's not like one customer always uses the website, and they never do anything on social. Usually today, customers might do different things. So you can follow their online journey through social, web, in-person, contact centre, mobile, and so on, chatbots, all of those things, and you can map that in as well. Right, so once you've mapped all of that out, the next piece is to do pain point analysis. So what do we mean by pain points? Well, the word pain point comes from Strategizer's business model canvas and value proposition canvas. You've got the value proposition canvas here. It's on Creative Commons license, but essentially the customer, when they are buying from you, or trying to buy from you, or complain about something, or take something back, they're trying to get a job done. They're trying to get a task done, and there are things that get in the way of that, the pains, and things that that help them, which are gains. So it's our job to make sure we relieve the pain. We provide pain relievers. We minimise the pain for the customer, and that we create as much gain, as much positive experience and ease and so on for the customer as we possibly can. So we need to identify where we're getting in the way of the customer and where we are creating a negative experience. But one that matters, right? Because there could be really tiny things that that could be better, but people don't notice or they just don't care about. It doesn't matter. So you don't want to be spending a lot of time and money resolving things that don't matter and that aren't going to be noticed or appreciated or valued by the customer. So think about things that matter, identify what they are, and there can be things that you can do better, or things that you're doing well that you could really build on. And then in this activity in your workshop, you're going to be thinking about, well, how could you use that insight in terms of the customer's pain points to be competitive, to stand out, to differentiate? And you do that by thinking about how you can be more personalised, how you can provide a personalised experience, because that really does give you differentiation. And you could say, yeah, but we've got hundreds and hundreds of customers and they're all online and that's really hard to do. Well, Amazon have got millions of customers, and I've never had a human interaction with an Amazon employee. I've had, one when I bought the Kathy Smith workout DVD, and they sent me the history of Millwall Football Club, and I did actually speak to a real human to return that. They let me keep the history of Millwall Football Club, and they sent me the right Kathy Smith workout DVD. There we go. But everything else is online and it's highly personalised. That's why Amazon does so well. One of the many reasons why Amazon does so well. So you can do this. It's called mass personalization, right? Then it's thinking about how you can create a seamless experience. How do you make it easy? How do you focus on emotion and getting the customer to feel how you want them to feel by providing the right experience that's going to generate that? How can you innovate, and how can you do this in line with your brand? And I like to use the 6 pillars that KPMG have researched, over a decade of research into the 6 pillars that make a great customer experience. And this is in any industry, whether it's business to business, business to consumer, and so on. Firstly is empathy. How are you showing the customer that you really identify with what they're trying to do, and you're showing that you understand where they're coming from and you appreciate their point of view. Personalisation is another pillar. I've just talked about personalisation. Time and effort. You don't want the customer to be spending too much time or too much effort on the wrong things that are going to frustrate them and get in the way. It's about being clear about expectations, not over-promising and under-delivering. It's about when things go wrong, resolving them really well, and actually using when things go wrong as an opportunity to show that, to really show that you care and turn it round. And often customers can be even more loyal as a result of that resolution. And then operating with integrity. So doing what you say you're going to do, keeping your promises, and really making sure that your organisation behaves responsibly and ethically and is seen to do that at all times. So they're the 6 pillars: empathy, personalisation, time and effort, expectation management, resolving things well, and operating with integrity. So you can look at your customer journey experience and use those as prompts, and then come up with lots and lots of sticky notes to find ways in which you can do those even better if you're doing them well, or where you can start to do them better if you're not doing them at all. And sometimes you can find that actually some of the simple things, time and effort, you are unintentionally putting some barriers in the way of your customers having a great experience. So, and there can often be quick fixes as well. Sometimes they're not always, but they can be some really quick fixes and some low-hanging fruit. And quick wins and all those other expressions in there for you as well. Okay, so having identified and prioritised your persona and got a really good understanding and creating a persona on a page. You've mapped out the customer journey experience. You've identified and prioritized the pain points. You've thought about how you can make a real difference with those so that you can provide a better customer experience overall at every stage on the things that really matter. And now it's time to put it all together and create a new customer journey. So you rewrite your map, the map that you created before, and you map it out as it should be. So you've done the as is, now you're going to create the ideal customer journey that incorporates all the ideas that you've had from activity 3, the pain point analysis. There are some great tools, by the way, that you can use. And again, I don't get paid to mention any of these. I take no commercial benefit from it at all. These are things that I think are useful and helpful, and I'm only suggesting them to you because you might find them useful and helpful as well. I only suggest things that I find helpful myself. You've got Smaply is journey mapping software. You can have a whole hub of journey maps, personas, systems maps. There's lots of things you can do. And for all of these, by the way, you can sign up and have a free trial, and you can play around with them and see if any of them work for you. A lot of them are collaborative as well, so you can have people, multiple people working from them in different locations. There is Touchpoint Suite, which is an all-in-one platform to engage customers and grow your business. So this actually involves customers in the process as well in a good way. So this might be something you want to look at if you are interested in involving your customers. As I say, I don't get paid at all for any of these. These are just things I find genuinely helpful that I'm suggesting to you. There's UX Pressia or Uxpressia, not quite sure how you say it. Great for UX. And you can, I just love the look of this one, the design and how it's laid out, and it's very intuitive to read as well. You can create some really professional customer journey visualizations, and again collaborate with people in real time from different locations virtually with that. Canvanizer helps you audit your existing services and look at pre-service, post, all different phases of the customer journey, and it helps you to think about it from the customer's point of view. Creately is another one. There's lots of templates in these, so Creately also has lots of customer journey mapping templates and ideas, and they are super easy. If you can do a PowerPoint slide or a Word document, then these tools are just as easy to use with a bit of practice. 10 minutes or so playing around, and you'll soon get the hang of them. And of course, one of my favourites is Miro or Miro. They do more than customer journey mapping. They're a virtual whiteboard. I've done other videos and podcasts on Miro, so you might want to have a look at those if you're new to it. But essentially, it's a virtual whiteboard, and you can do mind mapping, brainstorming, project planning, whatever you want to do, you could do it in Miro, and it has some great templates, including some customer journey map templates as well. Although what I do quite often is I use some of the slide team examples that I've shown you, and in PowerPoint, create them as I want them, and then I just screenshot them and load them into Miro and then lock them in. So I find that really quick if I want to customize something for myself. I want to do it differently. Okay, so you're creating the new customer journey. You don't have to use those tools, but they might be helpful. And you've mapped it out as it should be, and everybody's agreed, in the group, yeah, that'd be so much better. So now you need to do your action planning. What are you going to do to make that new customer journey experience happen and live? And you'll have a number of ideas and activities. I suggest you prioritise them. I like to prioritise them by how challenging they are to achieve and versus the level of positive impact they'll have on a 2x2 grid. So if it's a high impact and a low level of challenge to achieve, get started. That's a really quick win. If it's going to have a high positive impact and be a bit more challenging to achieve. You need to start planning and work out how you're going to get there, because the sooner you start, the sooner you'll get there. But start now, because it might take you a while. Obviously, if you've got something which isn't going to give you a huge positive impact, and then don't prioritise it, especially if it's going to be a lot of effort to achieve. What you want to do there is rescope the project or park it. Okay, so prioritise the actions. Make sure that you all leave with a really clear action plan. Some of the things I think you need to include are to share the customer journey map and action plan with the team and stakeholders. It should be a living, evolving thing. It's not a one and done. You'll have other thoughts about it. So if you can display it somewhere, if you've done a paper or a real whiteboard version, or have it so that people can access it on a virtual version, that's really good. Make sure that you validate this with real customers, right? And just test, particularly if you're going to invest any amount of time or money in changing things, you need to make sure that you're putting your money and your time where it's going to matter. So test it with customers, make sure you've got it right, and then monitor the impact. So look at the impact it's having using data. Think about what you're going to measure in terms of your success measures beforehand, and then start to track it. And then don't stop there. This is never done. The world is constantly changing. Customers' expectations are constantly changing as a result of that. And we need to make sure that we're relevant, up to date, and we're moving with it. So you'll need to keep refreshing this and see it as a really live thing that you're doing. So that's your agenda. I suggest absolute minimum of half a day. If you're super well organised, you've got loads of data and you're really on it with your facilitation, you might want to do a day like a 10 till 3 or a 10 till 4. Give it a bit longer. If this is new to your organisation, if you've got lots to talk about, and some things that you want to really work through, you might want to give it a bit longer, I'd suggest. Okay, so just to go back and say that all of this, I've shared a lot of information, I've shared a lot of visuals, and if you want to see all of those visuals and more, and read about it in more detail than I've been able to go into in the length of this show, you can have a look at that really detailed article, which is Facilitate a Customer Journey Mapping Workshop that gets results. If I can get my teeth in. Facilitate a Customer Journey Mapping Workshop that gets results. The link is there. You can just search that on the bigbangpartnership.co.uk webpage, or I'm leaving that QR code up there while I'm talking for a reason. You can grab that with your phone. Obviously, if you're watching on your phone, then probably not, but then you can get that QR code and it will take you straight there. And so we've covered a lot of ground. We've covered what is customer journey mapping. So you had some examples from the Australian Bank, from IKEA, from the London Underground, the Tube, how to prepare, think about getting some data. Make sure you focus on emotions of the customer. Think about how you can involve your customers, and then you've got a workshop agenda that will take you through step by step, and you'll come out with some really good stuff. You've also got some great examples to choose from for some customer journey mapping software tools. Some of those you can use collaboratively, or you can just choose to write it up and capture all your sticky notes in something like that. And hopefully you've got some useful references and resources on the way. So that's quite a packed show. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please do tell me what you think. It's been a pleasure being here with you as always. So thank you so much for watching. And you can find loads more resources all free on the website bigbangpartnership.co.uk/resources. And there's a different QR code there to take you straight to that page as well. Right, that's it from me. Thank you for joining. See you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Idea Time Show, brought to you by Dr. Jo North. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and access more completely free resources at bigbangpartnership.co.uk/resources. We'll see you next time.